Now on BBC Two, the programme which opens up the airwaves to the public. Open Door.
We were in the process of doing sort of, I think it was probably the second run of Open Door in the early 70s. And halfway through the week we had a phone call from a guy saying, there's no free speech in Britain. We represent the Albion Free State. We're a major political force for anarchy. So we said, well, fine, you know. We called his bluff and we said, okay, if you've got, you know, got an idea, come along to the studio next Monday, and we'll put you on. We'll put you on live, you know, no holds barred. So they're arriving at the studio, and I saw this guy dressed like a gorilla or something, and another one like a wizard, clutching a notice, clutching a notice board. And just as they got to the door of the studio, one of them produced a knife. And I said, you're all ego. All you want to do is get your face in the TV. I mean, you could see either of them. One was this wizard and one was a monkey. And the monkey kicked the wizard in the goolies because the wizard had the knife. These are the piece of enough people. And he collapsed on the ground and goes, oh, I wish you hadn't done that, Adam. I think that was the guy's name. Anyway, in the end, we just went on air.
If you want to be, you are. Albion Free State.
What on earth is Albion? Albion is the other England of peace and love, which William Blake foresaw in vision.
It has to be about the most boring 15 minutes of TV ever transmitted. And certainly the most scary 15 minutes of TV ever transmitted.
You're in a state, in the state of your mind.
I got really excited just zooming in on the bakery and then pulling out again and then zooming in on the notice and pulling out. I don't know. Why did we do anything in the early 70s, I asked myself.
The freedom to do whatever doesn't infringe the freedom of another.
But during the course of the day, we had several discussions as to which group we could have, and somebody did mention a new group called Queen. And they may or may not have been booked, but something happened at the last minute and they didn't make it.
We very nearly didn't do it. We was rehearsing for the Anarchy tour at the time, and this big limousine turned up outside this place in Holston. You know, punk rockers and all that. I thought, well, we're not getting in that thing. We don't want to do that. We want to stay here and have a drink and hang out with the lads and rehearse and do that. Don't want to do it. And this sort of phone call came through from Malcolm McLaren saying, well, if you don't do it, your wages will be stopped that week. So he was in this car like a shot.
They were only allotted 90 seconds, and I thought, well, not much can go wrong. I was wrong.
They are punk rockers. The new craze, they tell me. They're heroes, not the nice, clean Rolling Stones. You see, they're as drunk as I am. They are clean by comparison. They're a group called the Sex Pistols. And I'm surrounded now by all of them. Just let us see the Sex Pistols in action. Come on.
Grundy had very little patience for anything that wasn't classical music.
I am told that that group have received £40,000 from a record company. Doesn't that seem to be slightly opposed to their anti-materialistic view of life?
More the merrier.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell me more about it.
Spent it, haven't we?
I don't know, have you?
Yeah, it's all gone.
Really?
Down the boozer.
40, really? Good Lord.
Steve said something out of earshot, more or less. Said the dreaded F word, but I didn't even notice it, and I was talking at the time.
I could talk to Bill through his earpiece and tell him to cut the interview right there and then, and we could actually get into a film very quickly. But again, as you know, that takes about 30 seconds to get a film rolling, so you've still got 30 seconds of abuse to listen to. And then you've got to rely on your guys on the studio floor to get the person out of the studio, which could lead to even more trouble than the interview was to start with. So, as this was the last story in the program, we'll let it go.
Beethoven, Mozart, Bach and Brahms have all died. Really? What are we saying, sir?
Wonderful people.
Are they?
Oh, yes, they really turn us on. But they do.
Well, suppose they turn other people on.
That's just their country.
Which one?
Nothing, a rude word. Next question.
No. What was the rude word?
Shit.
It became a face-off kind of situation. It was who had the most bottle.
Are you worried, or are you just enjoying yourself?
Enjoying myself.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were doing.
I always wanted to meet you.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We'll meet afterwards, shall we?
You dirty son. You dirty old man.
Well, keep going, Chief, keep going. Go on, you've got another 5 seconds. Say something outrageous.
You dirty bastard.
Go on, again.
You dirty
What a clever boy.
What a f***ing rotter.
Well, that's it for tonight.
I don't think I've ever wanted to hear our signature tune, Windy, so much. I mean, I just couldn't wait to hear Windy.
The other rocker, Abel, and I'm saying nothing else about him, will be back tomorrow. I'll be seeing you soon. I hope I'm not seeing you again. From me, though, good night.
As New Year's Eve approaches, I grow sadder every day. It makes me mad that I get sad, but I know I should be gay. I know I should be gay. Oh, dear, my way. I'll start again. As New Year's Eve approaches, I grow sadder every day. It makes me mad that I get sad, for I know I should be gay. Yes? It makes me mad that I get sad, for I know I should be gay. Here we go. I get lost in contemplation for the coming celebration, for I know just what the midnight hour will bring. When the bells begin to chime for that joyful, joyful time, it is then each year you're sure to hear me say.
In the case of the Borgias, I had seen it as a sort of Dallas 1492. I thought it was going to be a good family saga of the kind that I, Claudius, had been, and I, Claudius, had actually been full of kind of jokey bits and
cliché views of practically everything that was available, and they wouldn't have missed out on that because we would automatically have been suspicious. And I seem to think there was a fair amount of giggling going on by the time we got to pretty well halfway through the first episode of the Borgias.
People just didn't hang around for very long afterwards, and that usually tells you something. Didn't tell us that the reviews were going to be quite as awful as many of them were.
The biggest mistake of all was their central casting. In the role, the crucial role of Rodrigo Borgia, Pope Alexander VI, they chose an Italian actor called Adolfo Celi.
When it came to the actual lines, he had a lot of trouble with them, and we should have hired him a voice coach and really worked very hard on him.
There was no treasure in Castello Sforzesco when Louis entered in Milan. We learned this from Cesare's letters. The Duke had special chests, the locks made by Da Vinci, but they were unsecured and empty.
They told me, they wrote that I was not understandable in my language. I was very surprised about that because never in 10 months, it never happened that they told me that I wasn't.
To BBC Radio, suggesting the whole thing was got up to promote CFAX subtitling because nobody can understand what the hell it was all about.
Are you pleased that you, Adolfo Celi, as an actor, did that series?
Oh yes, I am proud about that. I'm proud. I'm proud about to be